Top 10 Creepiest True Stories Behind Movie Scenes. Usually when people describe horror stories from a film set, they mean that there was a scheduling problem, a lot of arguing on set, or perhaps a mechanical malfunction. But sometimes it goes much farther than that. Sometimes things happen that seem suitable for what we consider a literal horror story. And though many items on this list are the stuff of film urban legends, they happen to be true. Here are 10 creepiest true stories behind movie scenes, make you horror. Number 10. Doe. Doe was, as of 2011, a project that had broken down in a sense, though that's not to say filming stopped. What happened instead was director Ilya Krzyzanowski turned this intended film tribute to Nobel Prize winner Lev Landau into an insanely over-immersive act of method cultism. The cast and crew were required to dress in mid-20th century Russian clothing to match the time period of the film. They weren't allowed to have cell phones or anything else so modern. Number 9. Eraserhead. Eraserhead is well known for being enigmatic and creepy. It's a story of a loser everyman, Henry Spencer, in a bizarre setting who experiences strange visions while fathering an even stranger child that doesn't look remotely human. But it's what you might expect from David Lynch if you've heard anything about him, and much milder than you'd expect after you hear the sorts of things he was up to behind the scenes. Given the appearance of the object, the budget, the skin textures, and the fact it's so articulated that its eyes will close vertically, the leading theory is that it's a preserved calf fetus. Number 8. Noah. Celebrity stalkers are nothing new. But one that went after Emma Watson during the shoot for Noah was more aggressive than most. During the shoot, Emma Watson decided to go off in the woods near the location of the shoot. While she was there, a stalker that she recognized from outside her home appeared. Number 7. Skippy. A 1931 Best Picture nominee, this film features a scene where child star Jackie Cooper was required to cry. Director Norman Torrey came to the conclusion that genuine emotion was required for the scene. He had a stagehand take Cooper's pet dog out behind the studio and pretend to shoot it. Even though it was revealed after they got to take that the dog was okay, the event made such an impact on Cooper that he entitled his autobiography "Please Don't Shoot My Dog." Number 6. Alien. Everyone's heard by now about the infamous chest-bursting scene in this 1979 horror classic, where some of the cast members were completely surprised by the scene. Much creepier, and less well-known, is a story from Dan O'Bannon about artist H.R. Geiger. To design the xenomorph's head, he purchased real human skulls from India and cut them apart. O'Bannon was suspicious, but he didn't really do anything about it until the mid-1980s when he wrote the idea into the comedy Return of the Living Dead. Number 5. Aguirre, Wrath of God. The most famous story from this 1972 film by Werner Herzog is that Herzog threatened star Klaus Kinski at gunpoint to keep him from leaving the movie. This is quite silly, because Kinski admitted in his autobiography he was the only one with a gun. And he didn't just threaten to shoot people with it. He fired shots into a cabin the crew was staying in because of how loud they were being. The shot only took off the tip of someone's finger, even though it was crowded in there. Kinski had another close call when he almost killed an extra by bashing him in the head with his sword during a shot. Number 4. End of Evangelion. This 1997 feature is one of those anime films from the 90s that solidified the stereotype that they're all full of violence and impenetrable symbolism. But almost none of them can match the bizarre happenings that are sprinkled throughout this movie, which details a prophecy where science and monstrous energy beings are used to end the world. Well, it happens those drawings came from children who were victims of real abuse, so some very real events of extreme private pain were being immortalized there. Number 3. Come and See. Come and See was a 1985 film from the Soviet Union that told the story of shell-shocked victims of the Third Reich's invasion of the USSR. As far as filming it, Elementary Klimov might have been a bit too realistic. Actual bullets were fired at cast members. Even though no one was actually trying to shoot anyone, lead actor Alexei Kravchenko described how bullets came within inches of his head during the take. As reviewers have noted, the feeling of this danger does somewhat manage to come across to the viewer, but was it really worth it? Number 2. Last House on the Left. This was Wes Craven's breakout film, and it's one where he felt he went too far on the content. According to him and actors David Hess and Mark Schaffer, things got too serious behind the scenes as well. For example, to get a properly scared reaction out of his co-star Sandra Castle, Mark Schaffer grabbed her, held her over a drop, and threatened to throw her off if she didn't get to take the next shot. Later, during the rape scene, David Hess threatened to really assault the actress to get a better performance. Number 1. Men Behind the Sun. It's understandable that the director of this 1986 film felt justified in doing so many disturbing things. TF Mouse was making a film about the systematic torture and human experimentation that occurred in Unit 731 during World War II, and to communicate the horror of that. He probably felt there should be few boundaries between the audience and the real atrocities he was simulating.